But other than Overwatch, I stepped into my time machine. Let me just get my
Yes.
my
I love it
footage
when
up
you
here.
go back and play games that are critically acclaimed, you know.
Well, as you may or may not know, there's a sequel to a pretty cool game coming out. So I'm just trying to get this damn footage up. A Plague Tale: Innocence. So the sequel Requiem is coming out in 2 or so weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be on Game Pass.
And this is one of those games where, oh my God, this game was on Game Pass. I claimed it for free on Epic. I think it's been on PS Plus. I own it in several places. I just never made the time to play it. But with the sequel...
They really just wanted people to play this game, I think. Yeah.
But with the sequel around the corner, I thought, shit, like I have to play it now because I do want to play the sequel. And I did. And to my surprise, not really to my surprise, because I know a lot of people have raved about this game, A Plague Tale: Innocence is a real good game. And I'm actually
fucking rules,
pretty flawed that this is done by a studio. I don't know who the studio is, but if this is like one of the first or one of the early games, like what a massive achievement. Like the scope of this game is far bigger than I thought it was. So
it's not a studio's first game. It's done by a Sobu studio.
Yeah.
And published by Focus Entertainment.
But you know what I mean? It's not a AAA title. What other games have they done?
Well, they helped out on Flight Simulator, The Crew 2, Zoo Tycoon, Quantum Break, Recall. So they've been support studio on a bunch of things. I'm not sure if this was their first
actual
we are
game.
Leading this sort of thing. Yeah. Maybe. But maybe it was. Yeah.
But my point remains that it's this, for all intents and purposes, like it's a bit rougher in certain places, but this feels like a proper AAA experience. Like to me, I was completely blown away by this. Is a real good narrative. Like there's a full story here. It's not a short, some indie games will be, super polished and really good, but then also really short. This is like a full 10 to 15 hour game with like voice dialogue throughout, proper story beats. And like it's, I think I was just blown away by, I mean, let me just rewind. Like A Plague Tale has been around since 2019, and I actually know very little. I knew very little about the game outside of it's got rats because it's set in a time when there was the Black Plague, or just.
And I'm sure you got the. A lot of people like to compare it to The Last of Us.
100%.
This is so medieval The Last of Us.
Yeah. So Plague Tale is the story of 2 siblings, Amicia and Hugo de Rune, who at the start of the game are basically run out of their home by the Inquisition. And you soon learn that the Inquisition are after these two for a very specific reason. And the candy code to wrapping this whole story together is that there's a rat infestation plaguing these two. Everywhere they go, there's just hundreds of rats, thousands of rats, and they are just destroying everything. So gameplay itself is a combination of like some light walking simulator and just intense stealth gameplay. It's you sneaking around with the 2 of them and trying to figure out how to get past guards or the rats or both throughout the levels. And that Last of Us comparison comes in that. So if you're not watching the video footage, Amicia is like in her teens, I'd say, and then Hugo is a small boy. He's like 4, 5, 6.
I think he's like 6. Yeah,
very, very little. And most of the gameplay is you actually holding his hand and running through these environments, and either telling him to stay or follow you or do things. That Last of Us comparison is very on the nose because it's these 2 people, one being led by an older, more experienced person looking out for the younger one. But I was just completely blown away by, I don't know what I expected of this game, but I did not expect this.
I thought it was I played it beginning of this year or just late last year. And I found the same. I was like, I remember, all the comparisons and everyone's saying, oh, it's very good. It looks very good. I mean, the version we played is the one that they updated for newer consoles and PC. And it looks fantastic.
It looks really good. Yeah.
But I just thought, it's got that comparison to The Last of Us, but at the same time, it's a bit different because Joel and to a certain extent Ellie in both games, they felt quite capable in combat. Amicia is not that.
No.
Amicia's got like a little sling that you can chuck rocks with, and eventually you get the ability to like, cool, if you hit someone in the head, they'll die. But even then, it's like if you take on like 3 people at once, you'll die because you just don't have enough time to line all the shots up. So it is very much about like very clever stealth circumventing, and I found the stealth really good. Like it is very much the linear stuff where it's like each little encounter is a small little puzzle that you need to solve that is a stealth puzzle, and there's things like you can see in the video here, you throw rocks at things to distract guards and then get past them and stuff, but it felt like I was thinking, it's not just like, okay, do this, do that, do this, do that.
And certain parts you'll find that it's almost like mini arenas. Like there are 2 or 3 ways to get through, which is just like a nice little touch. It makes you feel like, oh, I actually have a choice of how I want to tackle this. All that said, though, I do find, like I completely agree with you. It feels like you are solving puzzles, but I do think the game is super simple in that at no point that I go like, what the hell am I meant to do here? It's usually like glaringly obvious, like, oh, I need to, hit that set of arm over there to get this guard to walk that way, and then I walk past. Like,
it's got a good balance.
It's pretty straightforward in that way.
I felt like it only really got complex at the end for certain reasons. There's certain story and mechanical reasons where your options in combat completely change. And then the complexity ramps up in a very satisfying way, I found. But for the most part, it is, Amicia is protecting Hugo as much as she can, and that means avoiding enemies as much as you can, or using things around you to lure danger towards enemies. Like I think the whole system of like taking out lights so that the rats can come and eat guards is really clever. It reminds me a lot of that second act in Gears of War where you did that with light and those like flying creatures in the air.
I think
it's very clever.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll say like the puzzles are pretty straightforward, but the way they mix things up throughout the game, like you start off the game with, okay, you can just throw rocks. But very soon you start getting introduced to new mechanics or things of like, oh, now you can craft this thing, which, like an example, okay, you can only kill a guard if they're not wearing a helmet. However, you can craft this specific item that will let, or it's almost like acid. You throw it at them, it forces them to take their helmet off, and then you can hit them.
I forgot you got different like weapon or like projectile types.
And it's actually, it goes not deep, but there's like quite a lot. It's like, oh, by the end of the game, it's like, damn, you can craft so much stuff here. Like you really do.
Even you do get like a little workbench that you use to like upgrade your stuff. Okay,
exactly. Yeah, even that. It's funny how this game you don't really need that stuff, but you do have the option of like, okay, cool, here's a workbench. Do you want to be able to, charge up your sling quicker? Do you want to have more ammunition? Do you want to be able to craft more ammo? Like you do get choices, which it's just a nice touch. It's like RPG super light in that way.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat. But yeah, this is definitely primed me for the sequel. I think, like I'm excited for the sequel, but I'm very interested to see where they take it.
I'm curious because like this definitely felt story-wise. I think the story is very good. It punches really, really hard. There's some really hectic moments.
I will just sorry to interject. This game does not pull back its punches. Like there are some very visceral and graphic things shown on screen, and people die. It's like it's quite unrelenting in that way. Which even that also took me aback. It's like, oh my god, like
But at the same time, it felt very wrapped up by the end. I thought. So I mean, I assume they did that because they weren't even sure if they were going to be making a sequel. But yeah, I'm curious to see where the sequel goes because I feel like the trick that the game hides from you most of the game is now known. So what do they do in a sequel to kind of like I'm not sure if they start off with that sort of thing and then it disappears. I'm trying to be as vague as possible.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of shitty if it's like, oh, I can't do this anymore, and then at the end of the game, it's like, oh, I can do this now again. I'll be like,
I almost feel. I mean, this is when we prediction hour. I almost feel like the flow of the game will almost be in reverse. That makes sense. Where you can do a certain thing, but by the end, you can no longer. Or the puzzles you face are the opposites.
Almost like trying to find like a cure or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. Maybe that'd be quite interesting. Yeah,
you'll see.
Oh.
But
yeah, I'm very excited for it, and I've like not actually watched a lot. I don't even think they've put out much to do with the sequel. Just that it's like kind
there
of
was
out
like
in
the
2 minutes.
announcement or reveal trailer, and I think they've put out a short, like 12 minutes gameplay.
Oh, gameplay thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to watch this because like I will just play it when it comes out. So
yeah. Plague
cool.
Tale, Innocence. It's on every bloody platform, just about. I don't know if it's on Switch, but it's on old gen consoles. It's on new gen consoles. It was on Game Pass, no longer anymore. But I can't imagine it costing too much now. Worth playing, definitely. If you're looking for a 10 to maybe 15 hour like narrative driven,
it's quite palatable. I think. Yeah, it's very good, and it doesn't take long to get super interesting.